Hello there, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to talk about things to look out for, that you need to pay attention to when you purchase a second generation Lexus IS model like this one. In this case, it's a Lexus IS 250 I own. So I'm just going to be discussing 5 things you need to look out for and that you need to be aware of when you purchase this generation of car here. And so I just want to get straight to it, so we'll start with number 5. Now, number 5 is going to be something that's you're gonna find this out as soon as you get the car, really, because when you pop the gas tank here, it will tell you on the door, premium fuel only. So that's something to look out for when you buy a Lexus like this. Expect to use premium fuel only, because if you put in regular 87 gas, you'll activate the knock sensor. And in general, this engine here is it's an engine that requires 91 octane or 93 octane gas. So with that said, it being that this is a V6, it's going to get you about, on average, between 20 to 24 miles per gallon. It really does depend if you look at how often that you drive in the city and how often you drive in the freeway, because on the freeway you're using significantly less miles. You're not stopping and going and using more fuel. So yeah, that's going to be number 5. A very simple start of what to look for when you get a car like this is fuel, premium, and expect I don't want to say it's terrible gas consumption, but it's not particularly great compared to, say, like a 4-cylinder engine, which a modern one now, could take you the combined of a city and freeway driving highway speeds of about maybe 35 miles per gallon or 30 to 35 miles per gallon. Combination, this probably only gets like 24, I would say, maybe 23, 22, something like that. It really does depend on how you're driving your car. So we're going to get to number 4 now, and let's talk about what number 4 is going to be, what you need to look out for when you get a second generation Lexus IS model. Alright, so the 4th thing is going to be oil burn. Now, when a car, this kind of applies for all cars, but when your car gets to be high mileage, it will tend to burn more oil. And that's just something that you need to look out for, and so I'm just going to mention that for the Lexus IS as well, and for any car that's a high mileage car. Be sure to check your oil levels, because you don't want to be driving when your oil levels are too low. That could cause a lot of damage on the engine. Something that you need to look out for. And in this case, like most engines, there's a dipstick, and you pull it out and you make sure that you have a significant amount of oil in there. Just enough so that, you don't want to have low oil, because you could tell by the dipstick, by the measurement when you read it, if it's too low or not. Please be aware that some people who own this car, and this applies for all the IS models, the 250, 350, and even the top of the line ISF model, say that they have been burning oil. But then again, I look at all of these people who have said that, and they all had cars that are 100,000 miles or more. And in this case, this is a high mileage car, kind of. It has 128,000 miles on it. And so I don't have any problems right now when it comes to burning oil, because I change my oil quite consistently. I usually do it myself every 3 months or 3,000 miles on synthetic blend oil. So I pretty much know frequently what my oil levels are, and I haven't noticed any kind of burn in this car, so that's actually a good thing. So yeah, oil consumption, something to look out for. Let's go on to the 3rd thing you need to look out for, to be aware of when you buy a Lexus IS. Alright, so when you're driving this car, and it doesn't apply to this car, but I've read on online forums, on Facebook and Reddit and stuff like that, is when you push this car hard, as in push the gas pedal kind of to the floor a little bit, or you just kind of drive a little bit more aggressively. There have been some, and quite a few actually, that have said, why does my car smell like rotten eggs? And it has to do with the fact that that's just the way the car, what you're smelling is you're smelling a leak. And it's not a bad leak. I'll show you in a minute. There's some air vents in the trunk. I don't know what they're called exactly, but I'll show you what it is. And you need to replace that because some of the exhaust smells are coming into the cabin, and that's what you're smelling. Now, if you just replace those two air vents, because a lot of times, and in fact this happened to me when I first purchased the car, but I didn't notice any rotten egg smell, so I must have caught it early, is what I did was I replaced that. So now I don't have this problem, and I wouldn't know if I would have had this problem because, you know, I just never experienced it firsthand. But let's just go to the trunk. I'm going to pop it, and I'm going to try to, it's kind of tricky to see the actual vent itself, but I'll actually bring the camera outside and I'll show you what I'm talking about that's causing some of these smells to come into the cabin and what you could do to remediate that. So let's just pop the trunk right now and yeah, let's take a look. Okay, let me show you these vents I'm talking about. It's called a quarter duct vent, I think is what it's called, but this is it right here. And under this, I can't really put the camera under there, but there's a flap under there that needs to be there. And a lot of cases I've seen in the Lexus, or in any kind of vent really, it doesn't really matter what car, but it gets old and the piece there disintegrates and it allows kind of the exhaust to come in, the smell of the exhaust. And in this car, that would be like right over here, as you could see. So it's actually coming into the cabin, and on the other side here, there's another one. I'm not going to remove this because it's basically the same thing, but a mirror image. So you're gonna have to replace that, and I'll tell you, I'll show you right now what that's actually called, so you can see what I'm talking about. So here it is. This is the actual vent. This is what it's called, and this is what it looks like. Here is a picture of it right now. All right, so let's talk about the second thing you need to look out for, and that is called a sticky dash issue. And basically with these cars, this is the dash right here. It's all of these plastic panelings around the car. They tend to go bad, and when it gets really hot in here, this kind of melts. And I've seen some Lexuses where you could really see the scratches, and because it gets soft, plastic is doesn't react well to heat. But anyways, you want to be careful with the sticky dash, and I'm just going to show you a little bit, because I do have a little bit of that issue in my car, so let me just show you what I mean by that. All right, so we're looking at the driver door here, and the sticky dash, or the dash, is basically, it applies to all this plastic right here, all this plastic. So I'll give you an example of sticky dash, because there is a little bit of that example in my car. So if you look right here, I don't know if you could see that or not, but you could see on the edges here that it's not perfect, and in a very, very severe case of this sticky dash, you'll have the condition be way worse than this, where it goes around the entire car basically. And Lexus, they say, I do believe, I'm not really sure if there's a warranty for that now, because I think that for a car of this age, that's going to be 10 years or older now, they're probably not going to cover that. But go ahead and give the Lexus dealership a call and see if they could replace, these, if you actually need to replace them because you have this issue. But yep, that's the sticky dash issue, and we're going to get to number one now, which is kind of a big one for this car. And let's just get straight to that, what number one is. We've made it to the number one thing to look out for when you have a Lexus like this. Now, this is going to apply mostly for the IS 250 like this car. Now, I say that because the 350 and I believe the ISF, they're different. They don't have something called direct injection for their ports. And so when we're looking at direct injection engines, something happens in the long term called carbon buildup. Now, in severe cases, you could really ruin your engine if it gets really, really bad. And the good thing is that I'm a member of a Lexus IS group, and I've seen people discuss this, but I have yet to see someone say that their car was completely destroyed, that their engine was completely ruined by carbon buildup. However, with heavy carbon buildup, you could have a performance issue with your vehicle. It might not perform at the tip-top shape that it needs to perform in. So to an extent, that's probably the type of thing that the damage that carbon buildup could do to your car. Now, there are ways to remedy that. If you're already at the point where you have a lot of carbon buildup, do this, because I did this to my car as well, and it's called walnut blasting. And they basically take walnut shells and they put it in the individual, what do you call that, ports there, and they blast it out. They blast the valves out, and it becomes really, really clean, and your car becomes good as new again. And that usually runs between $500 and $700. I'm not sure with this inflation in 2022 if that actually went up a certain percentage, but go ahead and call your mechanic or find someone that actually does that. Now, that's what you do to treat an already carbon buildup issue that you have on your valves. Preventatively, what I would do is, and what I've heard is that just make sure you're changing your oil regularly, and make sure that you're using either synthetic oil, pure synthetic, or I use synthetic blend, which is also as good. But with synthetic blend, you got to change it every 3,000 miles or so and so months, I think it is. And then with pure synthetic, which is the best, you know, you could go on, I believe it's up to 10,000 miles before you need to change your oil again. But anyways, yeah, that's the way to prevent it. There's another way too, called an oil catch can. Not really quite sure how that works. Maybe you could, if you have one, let me know how it works. Or you could do one other thing, preventative measure, and that is called the Italian tune-up. Basically, that's when you drive this car crazy. You know, when you kind of enthusiastic driving is what I call it. So yeah, that's what you would do to solve the carbon buildup issues with the car. Now, there's nothing else to really discuss. This was the list that I compiled of what is wrong with the car. Well, not necessarily what is wrong with the car. It is a very reliable vehicle, but there's things you need to look out for. But yeah, that's going to be the main thing to look out for, main things to look out for when you get a Lexus like this. And for now, that's going to be the end of this video, because yeah, that's the end of the discussion of what to look out for when you buy one of these. So until next time, I'm going to say farewell. If you are subscribed to my channel, thank you for supporting me, and if you're not, please give consideration to supporting me, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button, and if you feel saucy, you could put the little bell button so you know when I upload a new video. Yeah, I love that. But once again, see you next time. I'm gonna go now, and bye-bye.